Committee will come to order. Will commissioners, staff, and guests please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll. Please state where you're broadcasting from. Here and broadcasting from the Berry County Courthouse.
Campbell.
Here.
He's at home in Baltimore Township.
Baltimore Township, thank you, Ben. I'm sorry.
Connor absent. Getty.
Here, I'm at home in Yankee Springs Township.
Gibson.
Hayden Center, Hastings, Michigan.
Jackson.
Here, Cloverdale, Michigan.
Smelker.
He's here.
Here, Irving Township, Michigan, home.
Thank you.
All right, we do have a quorum. The first item is interviews for the Zoning Board of Appeals. With us today, I see Jim Alden is here. Do we have William Butler?
Yes, I'm here. I do go by Chad, my middle name, but my name is William Butler.
All right, thanks, Chad.
Yep.
And Dana Yarger.
Good morning.
Good morning. So you guys have applied to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm going to give each one of you about a minute to give an opening statement and say why you'd like to serve on the board. So we'll start with Dana Yarger.
Well, first of all, I think if anybody has the ability to build a Zoom platform that tracks you as you move, I think that's going to be the next thing, because seeing my stomach on screen as I was doing the Pledge of Allegiance was horrible. So, little money-making idea for people. So, my name is Dana Yarger. I live in Irving Township at this time. I think that what brought me to apply for this position was with all the madness at the national and state level, I wanted to be a part of something to make things a little more stable, a little bit, add some intention to all the madness that's going on. And I've always believed that locally is the best way to do those kind of things, not so much with this position to affect change, but to preserve the intention of what's already been put in place by the county and how things are being done. I know both my parents felt like this was important. I've become an owner of land a little bit more since my father died in last year. And I know that his ability to help make things, well, once again, add intention to the future of Berry County was very important. It was a great model for me moving forward, as well as my mother's involvement in the community. I just feel that land is one of our most important resources and one of our most important assets. It is kind of the way the land moves and the development of land in a community pretty much dictates which direction the community goes. And I think that it's an important way that I could give back to my local area and feel like I have a purpose as well in a bigger picture of where I live.
All right, thank you, Dana. Chad.
Hi, I'm Chad Butler. I live here in Middleville. I've recently moved back to West Michigan, so one of the things I wanted to do was be involved with local government. I did study GIS and geography at Grand Valley. So my understanding of zoning and zoning law is a little rehearsed. So I can kind of understand what we look for and how we interpret that law and how we would use that on a board of appeals. I think it's important that we can kind of control and mitigate certain things like sprawl and certain building things that we want to keep preserved. So I think that I would do a pretty good job understanding and interpreting the law for a zoning board of appeals.
Thanks, Chad. I apologize. I skipped over public comment. working at the little different room setup now. So we're going to take a quick pause and limited public comment. At this time, any member of the board wishing to address, or any member of the public wishing to address the committee may do so for up to 3 minutes. Please raise your digital hand or press *9 now. Joel.
Yes, good morning. Joel Livittson, Rutland Township. We all make mistakes, that's fine. Hey, couple things I'd like to mention. One, again, I mentioned this last night at the GOP meeting, but I'm very grateful to Ben Geiger and John Smelker for showing up to supper with us at Smelk's Diner in Freeport on Saturday. We discussed a lot of issues that were pertinent to the county, and I think it gave them and us a better understanding of where we're both coming from. Also, I'm kind of excited to let everyone know I had a very nice conversation with Julie Kelly after the meeting last night in regards to potentially giving some sort of tax credits to rental properties with long-term tenants. See if this is something that we can work on with her, something we can do to provide more relief to people who need it in Berry County. That is all. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we're going to go back to the interviews for Zoning Board of Appeals unless there's other public comment. If there is, yes.
May I make a quick public comment?
Yes, Frank, go ahead.
Frank Fayel from the Road Commission, and I represent the Solid Waste Oversight Committee from the Road Commission. I'm that representative, and we're fortunate to have Vivian Connor and Bruce Campbell joining us with the group. I only wanted to comment briefly that many of you may be aware that recycling is beginning to come back. There is beginning to be some value in plastic and cardboard. And so with kind of a new emphasis there, and there are also some legal things going on in Lansing that we hope will occur soon to really help elevate in the state of Michigan, help recycling. So we are going, and we've been reached out to by several townships indicating they would like some assistance from the Solid Waste Committee. So we've been trying to do that. We have budgeted each year for a part-time coordinator. We have within our budget, and we're putting together an RFP we've been working on. Just wanted to make you aware of that as commissioners, that we really think that this is a right time to assist the townships with their recycling efforts. And also electronics recycling is something we have not been doing effectively at our household hazardous waste event. So we're just in the process of putting that together. We'll share more later, but just wanted you to be aware that we're attempting to move forward. We are moving forward with that. Thank you, Ben.
All right, thank you. Is there further public comment today? Please state, please raise your digital hand or press *9 now. Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Jim Alden, let's continue interviews for Zoning Board of Appeals. Jim, please state what you'd like to bring to the Zoning Board of Appeals and why you'd like to.
Good morning. I want to address experience. I think I've had that experience 9 years on the planning and zoning. I was part of planning and zoning committee when we developed the master plan. So I think I know the county ordinances, and I think I know what the master plan calls for. At the last 2 meetings ago, the planning director announced that we had a very contentious hearing that was going to be coming before us in the November meeting, and that he was going to have to change the venue because there were so many calls wanting to know what was happening about a partial split initiated. It was in and I think Mike Brown knows about this incident, and he may have a comment about it. The area was in one of the original subdivisions in Berry County. It was the Gull Acres development just off of Milo Road on M43. It was set up with a paved road, but no road association formal agreement. There's been an informal agreement for some time. So I did my due diligence that I'm supposed to do on visitation, and I visited with the president of the Road Association, who I know personally. And I asked him what the problem was about the people and the calls that we'd received about this split. And he said, it's all over the roads and our weak road association. So having heard that, I knew what roads were. I own the, pardon me, the longest private road in the county. There's a longer road, but it's owned by several people. And when I put that road in, I was insistent that there would be a written agreement and be part of the deed of each person buying property in our development, and part to be registered in the deeds. We've had no problem over 30 years. In fact, the Planning and Zoning Department uses our agreement as a model for conforming private roads in Berry County.
So you have a lot of experience with zoning, roads, and with the ordinance, I'm hearing?
That's right. I certainly have. And I want to address private roads in the county. We have a lot of problems, and particularly in those townships that we do not have county zoning for, and they do their own zoning. I'm going to refer you to 2 years ago when a person was killed because the neighbor used a shovel and whacked them over the head, all over an argument on a non-conforming private road. So I do have some experience in private roads.
All right.
And
thanks, Jim. I'm going to have to cut you off there or ask you to wrap up your opening statement because we do have some questions. So this is just the opening of why you'd like to serve. We'll get into some more of the technical questions in a little bit. Did you have anything else for your opening statement?
No, other than that, I developed a motion that was approved by the Board of Review to resolve the problem in this particular case. And I think Mike can address that.
All right.
And he knows of the situation.
All right. Thank you, Jim. The first question is, I'm going to ask you all to give a very simple, broad answer to this. Why is zoning important? So we will start with Chad.
Yes, zoning is important because like the county and city, townships, anyone, we've created certain laws that a board would need to interpret and help uphold those zoning laws. And it's important because some things shouldn't change, and it's a way to contain how things are built and prevent. So having the Zoning Board of Appeals would be the one to help facilitate that.
All right, Dana.
I would agree with that. And I would also say that zoning helps us maintain the integrity of the land. It helps us make sure that things are being done in a purposeful and with intention throughout the county to make sure that certain things are being used to the best of their ability. Things are not being degraded, so we lose the quality and integrity of the land that's been presented to us here in Berry County.
All right, thank you. And Jim, why is zoning important?
Zoning is important so that everybody knows what is expected when they develop or when they operate under what is supposed to be.
Okay.
The Board of Review is to address those grievances that people have with the ordinance.
Great. Thank you. All right, I'll open it up to commissioners for individual questions. Who, you have anything?
Yes, I'd like to ask Chad, has he attended any of the meetings? And also, I'd like to ask Dana the same question.
We know that Jim's the incumbent, so we know that he has. Go ahead, Chad and Dana.
Yeah, I can go. No, I haven't been part of the counties. I've been part of the village from Middleville. So I've started with my village, and obviously I've taken more interest in the county that I live in. And so this is my first virtual meeting with Berry County. I have done it in my college years as part of my studies to be part of planning and zoning meetings. But this is the first for our county.
Thank you.
And I have not attended any. This is my first, once again, my first kind of move into this whole arena.
Have either of you sat on any other boards?
I have not, no.
I sit on, not county boards, I sit on 911 board, the administrative board for 911.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Catherine, you have any questions?
If I can unmute myself. Mostly a comment. I appreciate all three of their willingness to serve. Serving on a ZBA is a difficult position because most often you have to say no. There has to be such a unique situation that you're able to put the zoning ordinance standards aside and grant a variance. So I appreciate your willingness to kind of be the bad guy most of the time. So thank you.
Thank you. Dave.
Good morning. Hey, just I guess we can continue on our same path, and I'll start with Chad. But with a housing shortage in the county and a desire for more dense housing, more duplexes and multifamily housing, how do you view that from a zoning board of appeals perspective with neighborhoods, but yet that need to balance more dense housing in there to take care of some of the housing shortage or housing crisis that we have in the county right now?
That's not a point.
Sure. One of the things I studied was sprawl in the United States and how subdivisions have kind of ruined a lot of places that are being developed. So I think certain things like duplexes, apartments, and high density, housing is important to help contain sprawl as you can build up versus out. And because of the Caledonia, Middleville, and other places that have a lot of growth, I think that's the best way to do it. That would also come with its own issues with growth and development. I think the zoning board of appeals would have, I think, more difficulty if subdivisions were being put in, and I think that would be the best thing to avoid, just because it limits what others can do once those go in. So that's why I say apartments and things like that, duplexes, are very important to contain sprawl and growth that way.
Thank you. Dana?
Yeah, I think you got your winner. Because I would just be looking at what's already in place for zoning to make sure, once again, my biggest thing, as I notice that people are moving out towards us as well in Freeport, is that, the quality of life of everybody in the areas around the building, making sure that the people that are going into the housing have what they need to have a good quality of life, but then also, once again, preserving what's already there. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how those decisions are made. I'm assuming that the city planning and the zoning has a lot to do with it. But I know that I am disheartened by some of the building that's going on, and would just want to, in this role, make sure that it's being done with consideration for not only the people going into the housing, but also the people that live around the housing that's being developed.
Thank you. Jim?
I think your question is more a planning and zoning question about development and is not a ZBA a question. And I think our ordinances and our master plan is pretty well laid out as to those kind of subdivisions and what we try to do. I know that we made a strong emphasis when we laid out the master plan that we would have open space type of developments. And I think we have accomplished that, and we are doing it out in the county.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions, Dave?
I'm set. Thank you.
All right. John?
I have no questions. I thank all the applicants for their time that they're going to need to serve on this. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. And Bruce?
I have none, Ben. I would like to express gratitude for Jim's dedication. He's been there a long time. I do appreciate his dedication to what I would consider a difficult board to set on. And also thank you to Chad and Dana. And Chad, special thank you for your military time and service.
Thank you.
Thanks all. We'll make a decision soon and make an appointment officially next week. Moving ahead, interviews for the Community Mental Health Authority. We have 4 positions and 1 partial term open. We have Bob Becker, Morgan Chavez, Deb Hyatt, Linda Maupin, Jennifer Meyer, and Colleen Tukala. So I will give each of you 1 minute to make an opening statement and say why you'd like to serve. So we will start with Bob Becker.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed serving on this board for the past 6 years, enjoyed the opportunity to serve as treasurer, to work with the executive committee as we work through some internal issues and have come out with a stronger administrative team on the other end. It's a great committee, and I feel like I've been able to help become more effective. I've been able to help them with some training on assessment and writing good goals so that we actually know what we're doing and we can measure what we're doing. I really enjoy this opportunity to give back to the community that's given so much to so many. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Morgan, good morning. Do we have Morgan on the line? Michael, did Morgan state she was going to be here for the meeting?
I have not heard either way.
All right, thank you. Come back if she logs into the meeting. Linda Maupin. You're muted, Linda.
Thank you. Bad habit. Good morning, everybody. I would echo a little bit of what Bob said about enjoying this board. I've been on this board, I believe, for seven or 8 years. I can't keep track. I think mental health is a very serious issue, especially with our seriously ill. And it's going to be even more important as we come out of COVID this year to make sure that we are broadening our assistance and what we're contributing. So for me personally, I have a grandson who's in the autistic spectrum. I spent many years contributing through volunteer work in Calhoun County. And when I retired from Kellogg, I decided I wanted to contribute in my own county where I lived. And so this has been extremely important to me. Also, the agency that I'm the executive director of collaborates a great deal with Barre Mental Health, and it's a great relationship that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Meyer, are you on the call?
I am. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to meet here again. It seems like it just happened. I guess it was a year ago. I came before the board, and it's been an interesting and challenging year. I've learned a great deal. I can say that Bob and Linda are great teachers. We miss Hoot on the board, but we've gained Catherine, so kind of switched things up a little bit, and we've had some losses on our board, some personal losses. But to echo a little of what Linda said, I of course, agree that mental health is more important than ever with COVID and isolation. Rates in addiction are increasing, which of course is important to me as I recently celebrated 15 years of continuous sobriety. And
Congratulations, Jennifer. I'll interrupt you there.
yeah, well, thanks, Ben. So addiction is very near and dear to my heart. And so is mental health. My sister was bipolar schizoaffective, and so I've personally been touched a great deal by mental health. And I too have sought individual counseling in addition to addiction assistance, and I find it very important. I feel I'm learning more and more every meeting. We're given the opportunity for a great board training, and I just appreciate the opportunity to serve here. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleen, good morning and welcome to the Committee of the Whole.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And the reason that I would like to serve as service to the community is something that's important to me overall. And I would like to take my background in healthcare and focus on mental health care. The need is vast and is in normal times, but even now it's in a crisis. And I think more people who even weren't thinking about mental health care in the past may want to see about getting it. And I believe this service needs less barriers to care as well. So outreach and proactive leadership can provide that, and I'd like to be a part of it.
Thank you. One of our applicants, our incumbents, Deb Hyatt, had some work conflicts today, and we want to give everybody the opportunity to apply for the board. And so I made the decision as chair to allow Deb to send in a letter to say why she'd like to continue serving. So I'll read this now. Hi, my name is Deb Hyatt. Though I have received services through Berry County Community Mental Health a few years before, I have served on the advisory board since May 2013. I attend the meetings and add my input where I think it might be needed. I have an associate's degree in office information technology and use my skill set to proofread the materials we are given. I've enjoyed my time serving on the board and would like to continue providing this service to the community. So we thank Deb for sending that in. Do we have Morgan on the phone? It appears not. Michael, would you be willing to give her a call and see if she's having technical issues?
I can. I'll make an attempt to contact her.
Okay. So we're now going to go into questions from commissioners. We're going to start with Commissioner Getty, who serves on the Mental Health Board. Catherine?
I've really enjoyed serving on the board so far. I can tell that everybody that are the incumbents, they really have a heart for what they're doing. And I look forward to meeting everybody in person. This whole Zoom thing is difficult in building relationships. I wanted to ask Colleen if she has attended any of the meetings. I'm sad to say that I haven't kept track if she has been there.
No, I haven't attended any of these meetings. I attend my Yankee Springs Township meetings, but nothing further than that. So this is my first time.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Was that, do you have any further questions, Commissioner Getty?
That was it. That's all I had.
Thank you. Bruce?
I have no direct questions this morning to them, although I would like to say that their quest on mental health and being willing to step up and work in this for all the people. Mental health is such a difficult issue that many people don't understand it until they know someone or related to someone or something that deals with it. And it touches home when we deal with mental issues, and I hope the best for all of them.
Thank you. Commissioner Smucker.
Hi, I don't have any questions. I just want to thank all the applicants. I think community mental health is extremely important, and it will get more so as we go on with COVID and substance abuse. So very important and thanks to the applicants. That's all I got, Ben.
Great. Dave.
Good morning. I guess my only question would be, some of you have experience with the board, some of you have experience as primary users. I see Berry County Community Mental Health as really, we've had some excellent input and some people on these committees. Is there anything that you see that we can do better? Anything that you see coming in the future that we need to be aware of and make improvements in? And we could start with Jennifer Meyer. Oops.
There we go. I'm muted. I definitely think that we're going to see an increase in addiction, and recovery assistance is vital. I can say that had I not been given the opportunity to get sober, to seek mental health counseling, outpatient therapy, group therapy, I would not be here today sober. And I think that we should have more community involvement and make it not, there's no shame in recovery. There's no shame in being an addict either. But I think as a community, we can show that we're normal, we're able to recover. We achieve things when we recover. I shared last year that I was a high school dropout, and I now work for a Fortune 400 company in a leadership position. So, change is possible. And I think that as a community, we need to take the stigma off of it and really, show that this saves lives. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Linda.
I think when I think about our three biggest challenges and how you could assist us, one, of course, is stigma, as Jennifer talked about. And I think our new building that we put up a few years ago has helped that tremendously. But if you, as you continue to support the people that work there, I think it will help. If you run into them or somebody, please encourage them. COVID has been a very tough year for our employees. And honestly, we did do a salary study this last year, but honestly, people aren't staying there for the money. They're very committed. So any kind of personal thank you or support, if you know any of our employees there. And the other thing, if you have any way of supporting this in any of your duties or any of your sphere of influence, we are always challenged for beds. Seems like whenever we have somebody in crisis, we struggle to find them a location for inpatient. So those are probably, I think, our three biggest challenges. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. That may be something we could work with Thornapple on as they think about the construction of their new facility. So,
yes.
Bob.
Thank you for the question. And again, I want to say that the answers that have been given are wonderful. I think the one way I would really appreciate the support of the county is as the state weighs in how they want to fund our organization, our community mental health. There is talk of wanting to go and turn this management over to for-profit organizations. The thing that hurts me about that is the word for-profit means somebody is going to make money, and that money will not be going to the care of those who need it. the community mental health system delivers all that care in their community, and we don't make a dime. All the money goes to the patients and the people who need it. So if there's any way that you can weigh in on that, that would be a huge help. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Colleen.
I think that the challenges, obviously, with COVID, and we've seen, and I just like to reiterate, especially the for-profit point. This is not something I want to see happen either. What I think as far as the community has to be twofold: stigma, which has already been mentioned, but it's huge. And I think people who just were adamant at one time, I don't need this, I've gone through this last year. Maybe that has changed their mind, especially with older people. But there were a couple of things that I had found just looking at information. About 90% of children who die by suicide suffer from mental health conditions. 90%. That means that they could have treated the mental health conditions. We'd still have them. But I definitely think outreach is what is most important. And I see it, in the local papers and things, but it has to be more. It has to be, this year has been hell on people. Please come. We want to help you. And like everybody has said, everything that the Mental Health Authority has done has been great. I haven't used any of the services myself. I know people who have and hear nothing but good things. And this was something that factored into my decision to want to be part of this.
Thank you. Thank you all for your answers. Ben, I have no further questions.
Okay. Who?
Yes, I would like to thank everybody for applying today. I served with the 4 people that are reapplying. They've all did an excellent job. Bob and Linda have gone over and above what they ought to be doing there, but they've made the place run more efficient, and I appreciate everybody on that board. That's all I have.
Thank you, Hoop. I do have one question for each of our applicants. Let's say that you are talking with a friend and they say that they're struggling with their mental health, but they're too ashamed to reach out for help. What would you tell them? We'll start with Bob.
Well, actually, I'd tell them that I'd be right there with them. Tell them of my experience with Rich and the staff and the fact that this is the most caring organization that I've been a part of. And I would offer to go with them so that any fears that they might have or insecurities, they would have the friend to guide them through it and get them started.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda. Linda, you're muted.
Sorry, it took me a minute.
That probably wouldn't be a good response.
Well, it would be a quiet one. I would have to echo what Bob said. The other thing, though, that I would offer is a couple of years ago, I took a mental health first aid class, and it really talked about how to deal with people who might be hearing voices or suicidal folks, and what to say, how to talk, how to speak with them. So I feel pretty confident about that. I've used that twice, and that would be a training I would encourage us to do again. But I think you have to hang with that person. You have to stay with them and not nag, but as Bob said, go alongside with them and help them find some help and understand that it's okay.
Thank you, Linda. Jennifer.
Well, I think because of my general honesty about my recovery and about some of my family issues, I do have people even at work who reach out to me. And I recently had a lady from work who had some struggles because of the past year. And I think the gentle encouragement And I also assisted her to reach out through our employee assistance program for free, because free help is out there. And I think the more information that you can share with the person that this is free, there's nothing to be ashamed of. I've been through it myself. Because all of my therapy wasn't just for recovery. I will share with the board that I did also have to seek some help in June of 2020 because of the isolation. So I do speak from experience with how COVID has personally affected me. So I think when you share from the heart, and you genuinely care for that person. And I think it doesn't just stop with getting them to the door. It goes beyond that with, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do to help? Did you feel a connection with this person that you saw? If not, there are options, more options out there. And this person seems to be doing well. And I think sometimes we just need to know that people care, and we just need a little help getting to the door. So I think that's probably enough.
Thank you, Linda. Or thank you, Jennifer. Colleen.
I'm going to certainly say that I agree with what everybody has said. You need to be there for people. You need to show them something is free. Don't let cost be a barrier. There's things in the community that are there. We want you to get help. But I had to direct my own parents during this whole thing to get this. I mean, this is with seniors and things. They were really resistant. It took me a while, but I finally got them both into therapy. And I think it's been very helpful for them. But there's so many reasons that people would be resistant, and even that it's seen as a weakness. And I think that's the biggest part, just showing them that it's not. You cannot control what's going on in the environment all the time. You got to get some help with that. You got to talk to somebody. But I would absolutely be there for any friend that needed it, anytime. Getting them to the door and staying by their side, whatever they needed.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all of the applicants today, and thank you for your compassion and your empathy for folks in the community. The biggest hurdle that we have is stigma, and each of you, by stepping up today and applying, are helping break that down. So thank you. The board will make a decision soon. So now we go into discussion and recommendations for appointments. What are the board's wishes on the Zoning Board of Appeals?
I would say that it is awesome to have great candidates. And obviously with Chad, Jim, Dana, there's some qualified people there. Knowing Jim and knowing his mind for detail, also experience is very helpful in a ZBA situation. The depth of his background and understanding of that goes a long ways. I would recommend Jim for reappointment.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I also like the idea of Jim back on there. I think he's got a lot of experience, and I think that becomes very important on that Board of Appeals.
Right. Hearing that, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Jim Alden to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term that begins on April 1st, 2021 and ends on March 31st, 2024.
So moved, Jackson.
Is there support?
Second, Getty.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Ben, I would like a roll call vote on that one.
That is a proper request. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor is absent. Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smoker,
No.
Geiger.
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. Is there any objection taking a 3-minute break?
No.
All right. Hearing no objection, the board will recess for 3 minutes.
Test 1, 2.
Smoker was in. Oh well. Those things happen. I don't know who the
Do we have all commissioners present? It appears so. We'll continue discussing recommendations for appointments. What are the board's wishes on appointment to the Berry County Mental Health Authority? A lot of good applicants.
What are you going to do about Morgan?
Morgan Chavez. She unfortunately, because of her prior commitment, she's not able to participate in morning board sessions, so she's withdrawing her application.
I'd like to make a motion for appointments.
Who would you like to appoint? Who?
I'd recommend Bob Becker, Deb Height, Linda Maupin, and Jennifer Meyer for the full terms, and Colleen Tukalo for the partial term.
With Deb Hyatt in the primary consumer position. Is there support?
Support, Jackson.
Motion by Gibson, supported by Jackson, to appoint Bob Becker, Deb Hyatt, Linda Maupin, and Jennifer Meyer to the Berry County Community Mental Health Authority. Was Colleen on that motion?
Yes. Yes, she was for the partial term.
And Colleen for the partial term. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's call the roll.
Connor absent. Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smoker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, motion carries. The next item we have is surplus auto sales. Do we have Dave Schiniver on the line?
Yes.
Dave, why don't you describe what this request is?
This is an annual request to liquidate surplus automobiles from the county fleet. This go around, we have 4, all from the sheriff's department. They are listed on the agenda request form. They will be listed or advertised in the local paper for 2 weeks, sealed bid. Any questions?
Ben, you're muted.
For new commissioners, can Michael or David inform us how many vehicles we have in our fleet?
Michael, I do not have the answer to that question.
Non-sheriff's department vehicles, we're probably in the half a dozen to 10. And then the sheriff's department, I'm going to lean on Under Sheriff Sixberry. That's not a number I have right off the top of my head. Jason, would you be able to address that one?
I am attempting to get the information real quick for you.
It's okay if we don't have it. The chair would entertain a motion to recommend the Board of Commissioners approval to sell surplus automobiles as listed below via sealed bid to the highest bidder.
So moved, Smelker. Second, Smelker.
That motion is made by Gibson, supported by Smelker. Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Getty. Getty.
She's muted.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Smelker.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Connor absent. Geiger.
Yes. The motion carries. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to purchase a new 2021 215 Scout XS XFF vessel with a 2021 Mercury 200 XL DTS motor and a 2021 Phoenix trailer from Skipper Buds in Grand Haven, Michigan for $73,000, and approval to trade in the 2007 Four Winds Funship 204 vessel, hull identification ID number GVN MK003G607 per attached quote.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support?
Support, Getty.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, Under Sheriff Sixberry.
Yes, we obviously had the approval of the capital budget for $73,000 to replace the Four Winds vessel, which 2007 Four Winds vessel inboard 5.0 liter Mercruiser, the trailer. Obviously, the vessel's age, amongst other issues, is the main reason we're doing that. The other, originally the vessel was purchased with Department of Natural Resource grant, and any money above $3,000, which I think many of you know, would have to be returned back to the DNR and or put in a side fund, and then a lot of extra paperwork to use it a different way if we did sealed bids. Our issue is, are we going to get more than $10,000, which was offered as a trade-in through Skipper Buds? And I don't know if I really want to take a gamble on getting less than the $10,000, which they're offering for it. Skipper Buds ended up being overall about in the middle of the quote. We had one from Ribcraft from Massachusetts area, which is 90-some thousand, and the other one was Gun Lake Marina, but it has a smaller engine in it, as well as it comes stocked with what comes from the boat company itself. With Skipper Buds, we have our additional added on to it, which has a larger engine in it, which is estimated between $7,000 and $10,000 more than the one that the Gull Lake Marina was going to give us. And we checked in on that, which we believe the one from Skipper Buds would be the best deal for us, and we can actually get that hopefully by the first part of June instead of the last of August, like Gull Lake would give us. And Gull Lake's, I don't know if we can actually get that by August now at this time. And we're asking for the, like I said, the trade-in versus the sealed bid versus a lot less paperwork with the state of Michigan, as well as we know we get guaranteed $10,000 for the vessel as a trade-in versus unknown what we'd get for our sealed bids.
Any questions from commissioners?
Couple questions. Jason, why, I'm not sure what the other fleet is equipped with, but is a 200 horsepower engine needed on a boat?
Can I answer that? I'm not exactly sure. I just know that based on what they said that of course Gull Lake is, I don't know how fast you have to get somewhere per se. I just know that they said that would be the better the engines between the two of them. We talked to a couple people that actually work with boats in the area, and they did say that was the better of the two. So at that point, Gull Lake was asking $69,000 for the same amount. We'd get $73,000, except that's with a trade-in, and Gull Lake didn't give us a trade-in request. So,
okay, where will this boat primarily be used at?
Gun Lake.
On Gun Lake.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That's mainly what it's replacing, is the one for Gun Lake.
Okay. All right. I was just curious because I know I'm not sure what the current boats have and what the rest of the fleets have. I know we've approved a couple boats in the past. That's been the biggest motor I've seen on one. And I know they do run about $1,000 per horsepower. So, you know, if there was an option, you could certainly save some money there. I'm just was questioning whether we needed a 200 horsepower so we could go across Gun Lake at 70 miles an hour versus 60 miles an hour. But, you know, it just seemed like a lot of money for a boat purchase based on some of the other ones we purchased in the past.
This is a bigger boat just for Gun Lake itself. The other ones are more, we have the jump boats and that type of thing that go to the smaller, and we're taking them in and out, obviously, of the lakes all the time. This one stays there. Equipped, and it's not that we don't run Gull Lake. You know, Kalamazoo County runs Gull Lake, but they have something similar for that big lake also.
Okay.
Why do you need a bigger boat?
It's for Gun Lake.
Yeah.
That's what they end up doing because of the size of the lake itself and everything. I don't have the answer directly for that. I just know that they usually tend to have, for the larger lakes, it's a larger boat. There's more wide body and that type of thing. We've had deck boat out there before also back in the old days, which is a wider body boat than the ones that are pulled behind all the time with the cars, the patrol cars to the other lakes.
So you don't have, or you don't have the information handy of the personnel or extra materials that would need to be or plan to be stored aboard this boat?
Have the extra, I'm sorry, repeat that question.
What is the sheriff's department going to put in the boat? I mean, is it hauling rescue equipment?
It could use all rescue equipment, yes, but it also is big enough to handle Gun Lake itself. The one with Skipper Buds comes with the equipment that's additional already added to that with the estimated price. The Gull Lake marine boat would come with what comes stocked for that price.
I guess I'm not understanding. You say the boat is big enough to handle Gun Lake. Why doesn't a smaller boat do the job?
I cannot answer that. I don't have my Marine Sergeant here. Obviously, he's up at court right now. However, I just know we've already lost one boat that we can't replace the one because of the issues of getting this approved by or get it to the commissioners 4 weeks ago for the other one, which they wanted a down payment. And we could not get that to them to do that. So if you're asking me why we need this big of a boat, I cannot answer. I mean, it's not that much bigger than the others. It's just, I know this is the boat, and I know the last one we purchased was, I don't have it right in front of me because that was well, maybe I do.
Any other questions from commissioners?
I had a question.
Oh, go ahead, Kath.
You said last year you had $73,000 that was allocated from the capital improvement budget. Was there also money that was expected in for the old boat? I mean, by this scenario, we're really spending $83,000 for the new boat, and foregoing any income from the sale of the old boat. So we're spending 83. We would have gotten, if we would just bought a boat for 73,000, we would still be generating some income from the sale of the old boat.
We would be generating 3,000. The rest would go back to the DNR because of the grant. Okay. Unless we put it in a side fund, then we'd still have to use it towards purchase of new equipment for Marine Patrol equipment.
Any other questions from commissioners?
Jason, Bruce Campbell here. Did I correctly hear you when you were not only talking about a bigger boat, but I thought I caught you saying too that according to the mechanics or the experts involved with boat motors, that the larger motor was a better motor, not necessarily just a bigger motor. Is that correct?
Overall, that's what I understand. They're both Mercury's. The one's the 150 XL EFI 4S, and the one that would come on with the Skipper Buzz is the Mercury 200 XL DTS.
Thank you.
Sheriff Leaf, please unmute your microphone. You're muted. There you go.
That better?
Yeah, good
that's
morning.
better, right? Hey, this boat here also has a top to it to keep our guys out of the sun. When you get out there on the lake, when these guys come back in, they're a nice kind of a sunburned brown. If you kind of catch my drift on that, this would help protect them out of the sun. So that's part of their expense. Plus, we use a bigger motor. It doesn't have to push as hard on a boat that size, and so it doesn't work as hard, and it'll last us longer. Plus, it's a little more energy efficient, as in fuel efficient, because of that big motor being able to push a larger boat. We undersize that motor, then we're gonna burn up more fuel trying to push that large of a boat.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other questions from
the top on it was one of those things we really wanted, especially as many hours as we put out there in Gun Lake. So our guys come back some days and they've been out there all day, and that sun kind of wears on them.
Any other questions from Commissioner? We have a question from the public. Kathy Ramsey, please unmute your microphone and ask the question now or statement.
Thank you, Chairman Geiger. Why do police cars have big engines? So that they can catch the cars with big engines? And why does a police boat need to be big and have a big engine? So they can catch the big boats with the big engines when they're being disruptive and not following the rules of the lake. It's kind of like the escalating war with guns. The police never needed AR-15s until that shootout in California where the guys robbing the bank had AR-15s. It's common sense that you need a big boat on a big lake, and in order to power that big boat efficiently, you need a big engine. And it's going to make it easier to tow a boat that was in trouble. It's going to make it easier to rescue more than one person and get them on board the boat safely. I'm not fond of spending lots and lots and lots of money on the sheriff's department, but the marine capability of our county is something that we should be very proud of, and I think it's an entirely reasonable request. That's all.
Thank you, Kathy. Sheriff Leaf.
And there's one more thing I forgot to mention. This boat also has the center steering rather than being off to one side or the other. And that's going to make it easier for our guys to approach on either side of the boat. And that was a little bit extra.
Okay. When can I go drive it? When's it going to be here? I got to see this boat.
Well, let's put it this way. If we don't move fast on it, we won't get this one. We'll have to restart again. So the hard part is keeping boats in stock. We had to agree that we would obviously take this if everybody approves it today and next week, Tuesday. If not, then they still ordered it, but they're not going to wait for us to decide in 2 weeks. So hopefully this will happen. If not, we won't get one at least till August because the boats are going left and right, unfortunately.
Okay.
And hopefully to be here by the first part of June, if not before Memorial Day.
Is there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, the question for the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to purchase a new 2021 215 Scout XFF vessel with a 2021 Mercury 200 XL DTS motor and a 2021 Phoenix trailer from Skipper Buds in Grand Haven, Michigan for $73,000 and approval to trade in the 2007 Four Winds Funship 204 vessel HIN GFN MK003G607 per the attached quote. Clerk, call the roll.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smoker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor absent, Getty,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes. Anchors away. All right, we'll move ahead to our next item. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 2108, a resolution to authorize issuance of 2021 capital improvement and refinancing bonds for Thornapple Manor Medical Care Facility, limited tax, general obligation, and related matters.
I'll make that motion.
Is there support? Geiger supports. Discussion. We have with us Bobby Benzinski and Stephen Heiduck, along with Michael Brown, to talk about this request, and Mark Nettleton. So I'll turn it over to the team. Mark, do you want to start?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Nice to be with you this morning. Before you is this resolution to authorize new money bonds in a not to exceed amount of $14 million to pay for the expansion of the Sunset Manor facility. It's to add an assisted living facility, and Don Haney's on the call, and he can talk about the specifics of that facility. But in addition to this new money to pay for this new project, the resolution would authorize the issuance of $4,250,000 maximum of refunding bond proceeds to refund the county's existing Series 2012 medical care facility bonds. We're going to do this as one issue. Bobby Benzinski with Benzinski and Company can talk about the process that we're going to use if there's interest from the commission on how we're going to sell these bonds. But these bonds would be one issue with the not to exceed amount, principal amount of $18,250,000. It would be supported by the county's limited tax general obligation pledge. And these bonds would be repaid from revenues received by Thornapple Manor, much in the same way as Thornapple Manor has been providing revenues to the county to repay the existing Series 2012 bonds. With respect to if these bonds are authorized by the county board at your meeting next week, formally authorized, then we'll go through the process for pricing. And again, Bobby can talk about that. But on the date of pricing, date of sale, there's authorization to the county administrator and county treasurer to award the sale of the bonds and commence that process for the issuance of the bonds. Happy to answer any questions, but also I can turn it over to Bobby to discuss the mechanism by which these will be sold.
Morning, Bobby.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us. As Mark indicated, there's a new money portion for the new improvements at the Thornapple Manor, and we are able to refinance the outstanding bonds. The bonds can only be redeemed on interest payment dates. The interest payment dates are April 1 and October 1 of each year. You're required, the county is required to give bondholders 30-day notice. So the plan would be to have a bond sale in late May, approximately May 25th, as a negotiated sale, and deliver the bonds on or about July 6th. This will allow the county to call the bonds on or before September 1st and pay them off on October 1st. We are recommending a negotiated sale because it should produce the lowest interest cost to the county, and it also allows us to get into the market, and we will have to invest these bond proceeds from July 6th until October 1st. And we have to buy U.S. Treasury obligations. They're called slugs, state and local government securities that are purchased directly from the U.S. government. Those rates fluctuate on a daily basis, pretty much on a minute-by-minute basis in reality. And this allows us to make sure that we have the proper sizing and the proper amount of proceeds to buy those securities if we do a negotiated sale. It has been proven that it is the most effective way to do this because you're not changing the bond size on a constant basis. The county in this resolution also has elected to retain the services of an underwriter, Huntington Capital, which is part of Huntington Bank, who is very active in the market, has been very successful in various financings. We've worked with them throughout the years, and they will do a good job. Our role is to make sure the rates are competitive and they're reflective of the market conditions on the day of pricing.
So we've bought a boat and now we're buying slugs. So,
not the same kind of slugs.
Obviously not. Questions or comments from commissioners? Questions or comments from the public? We do have a question or comment from the public. Joel, will you unmute your microphone?
Yes, hi there. Joel Libetson, Rutland Township. And first off, I want to commend Mr. Haney on his handling of the manner during the pandemic and whatnot. I think it's been nothing short of incredible with the record they have compared to the state on the COVID. However, my question is, interest earned on escrow accounts used to defease bonds is subject to federal income tax, I think since 83, 84, I can't remember, to discourage certain bond defeasance manipulation and efforts to decrease interest liability. If this is applicable, has the county taken into account in its calculation on refunding prior bonds, and are there any bond premiums being paid out in association with this passage?
The rules of the Board of Commissioners, pursuant or in accordance with their bylaws, does not stipulate or allow for questionings other than comment, but I will allow a answer from the administration. Michael, do you have any response to that?
So yeah, that has been taken into account, although Bobby would probably be the expert to respond to that.
I'm going to respond, and then I will let Mark Nettleton respond also, because I think it's both a legal and a financial question. The interest earnings on the state and local governments that are purchased will be used to pay the bonds off. That is why we are recommending a negotiated sale, because that calculation needs to be taken into consideration as to how many bonds we sell for the refinancing portion. So yes, that is taken into consideration. In terms of the legality and the tax consequences, I'm going to leave that up to Mark Nettleton.
Sure. Thanks, Bob.
Do you have a short answer to that?
Basically, the county will be in compliance with arbitrage regulations with respect to the interest rates and the restrictions.
Thank you, Mark. Is there further comments?
Ben, Mr. Chairman, I would just ask, Bobby, can you respond to two questions? One would be the estimated or anticipated interest rate for the, and I guess it'd be true interest cost, if you may, for the new bonds. And then as well as the estimated or anticipated savings associated with refinancing of the existing bonds.
The second question, we are estimating the savings as of March 11th of approximately $365,000, which is 9.1% of the bonds that we're refunding. The overall interest rate on both the new money portion and the refinancing portion, the new interest rate, the true interest cost is 2.14% as of March 11th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 2108, a resolution to authorize issuance of 2021 capital improvement and refinancing bonds, Thornapple Manor Medical Care Facility, limited tax general obligation, and related matters. The clerk will call the roll.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smoker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor absent, Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, motion carries. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Don.
At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached consulting services contract extension with MGT of America Incorporated to provide indirect cost accounting services for fiscal years 2020 and 2021, and authorize the chair to sign the agreement.
I'll move, Jackson.
Second, Gibson.
Been moved by Jackson, supported by Gibson. Discussion, Michael?
Sure, thank you. For our new board members and those that we only deal with this every so often that may have forgotten, the Central Services Indirect Cost Allocation Plan is a plan that is prepared by MGT Consulting Group. We can contract with them to prepare it, and its purpose is to take a look at those costs that aren't easily attainable. So for example, the cost of a program to a grant, for example, of the utility portion of the building, or the maintenance of our building, when the clerk processes vouchers and payroll, we don't charge those back to departments, but they're a cost of doing business. So we contract with MGT, who prepares this plan, and the value of it is it's in accordance with all of the state and federal guidelines, so that when we include this in our grant reimbursements, it's acceptable, it's acknowledged as meeting all of their standards. And the two areas that we apply it primarily is the Friend of the Court and the Child Care Fund. Those grants bring back hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. This report allows at least thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, it's probably tens of thousands of dollars to be recovered from the state and federal government for the operation of those programs, that if we didn't do this report, we wouldn't otherwise be able to recover. So that is the kind of the gist of this plan. I'll stop for a minute and try to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions from commissioners? Any questions from the public? Please raise your digital hand now or press *9. Seeing none, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached consulting services contract extension with MGT of America Incorporated to provide indirect cost accounting services for fiscal years 2020 and 2021 and authorize the chair to sign the agreement. Clerk, call the roll.
Smelker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor absent. Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, motion carries. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Craig Stolzenberg to serve in the position of citizen at large on the Berry County Tax Allocation Board for a one-year term that begins on April 1st, 2021, expires on March 31st, 2022.
Getty, I'll make that motion.
Support, Smelker.
Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor absent. Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, motion carries. Before the committee takes up our next item, we do need to go into closed session for a few minutes. So the chair would entertain a motion to go into closed session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976, 15.268, Section 8C, for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement.
Mr. Chairman, can I interrupt for a minute? We don't have Dave Stoker, our attorney, yet. I just reached out to him. We're running a little bit ahead to let him know. Would you be able to either take up one of the last items or take a brief break for a minute?
I'd like to take a break. All right, the board will stand at recess at the call of the chair.
Michael, I made you the host,
Okay, thank you.
so you can go ahead and create that room when he joins.
How are we going to do the closed session?
Michael, is there any ETA on that start?
Hi, David. Yeah, I see our attorney just logged on, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. I'm just asking for Hoot, so.
Yep, I think hopefully here next couple minutes, there's Ben jumping back on and so
Okay.
whenever.
All right, I'm going to go help him get logged into the breakout room.
Say that again.
Just waiting on who? We'll go ahead and I think we got the votes to go into closed session. So at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to go into closed session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976, MCL 15.268, Section 8C, for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement.
So move, Smelker.
Is there support?
Campbell supports.
Moved by Smelker, supported by Campbell. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Connor absent. Getty.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Smelker.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Yes, the board will now go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, so what will happen is I will have just created a breakout room. Commissioners, you will all get an invitation to attend. When you get that here in a minute, if you'll just click on join breakout room, that will take us to that breakout room.
Thanks. And for those of you watching or online or participating by phone, we're going to be back in just a few minutes, I think. Let the record reflect that the board has returned to open session at 10:59 a.m. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the March 16th, 2021 closed session. Catherine, you want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Campbell supports.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Getty.
Yes.
Gibson. Gibson.
What was the next one?
Jackson.
Yes.
Smelker. Smelker. How about Campbell?
Is he back in the room?
I don't see him.
So yes.
I don't think he made the transition.
Campbell.
Yes.
Connor is absent. Do we have Gibson back yet?
No.
Smelker.
No.
Geiger.
Yes. Do we have 4 votes?
1, 2, 3, 4 yeses.
A majority of the commissioners present voting in favor thereof, the minutes are approved. We're going to take a quick recess and find out where our missing commissioners went.
Yeah, Chairman, they're still in the breakout session. I just left that room. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay. Okay.
Board will stand at recess at the call of the chair.
Am I in the right room now, Michael?
Yes, John.
Okay.
We went ahead and approved the minutes, John. I figured you'd vote yes. So
Ben, I see John has popped up. Dave is getting Hoot back in right now, so it'll just be another minute, and then we'll have Hoot back on the video as well. There you go. So it looks like you now have everybody.
all right, welcome back, everybody. Hoot and John, we did go ahead and approve the minutes. So the next item is at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 2109, a resolution approving the tentative agreement reached and successor collective bargaining agreement with the Berry County Courthouse Employees Association for January 1, 2021 through December 31, 2025, and authorize the chair to sign this successor agreement.
So move, Smelker.
Support, Gibson.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Any discussion or comments from the public? I don't see any hands. Hearing no discussion, clerk, call the roll.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson. Jackson,
Just give me a thumbs up, Dave.
Yes.
Yes.
Smoker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor absent. Getty,
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Motion passes. Bless you, whoever sneezed out there. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 2107, a resolution supporting our small businesses.
Support, Jackson.
Motion by Jackson. Is there support?
Second, Gibson.
Moved by Jackson, second by Gibson. Discussion. So last week, we talked about passing some type of resolution supporting our small businesses. The document that's in your packet is the resolution that I proposed. I'll leave it to the board's wishes whether they want to adopt that as a statement or do something else. I would just let everybody know that it's our actions that speak louder than our words. So this resolution is just reaffirming that we hear the people that came out and poured their hearts to the Board of Commissioners. And we recognize their situation, we recognize their pain, and we urge the governor to listen to them and to give them a chance to succeed. So what are the board's wishes?
Well, it's kind of as we discussed last week. I think the resolution is well written. The resolution is never going to be what some want it to be. So we could spend months writing something that tries to craft in what everybody's desire is, from stomping on Lansing to whatever the case is. But I think the primary goal is a message of support for our local businesses here. As a member of the Economic Development Alliance Committee and also on that governance board with Michael, that was a topic of discussion, and the Economic Development Alliance Board also supported to strongly support the resolution supporting small business as well. So that's the Economic Development Alliance and Chamber, as well as the initiative of Reopen Michigan Safely was also discussed. So, and Catherine and I kind of had the same thought that I reached out to Jennifer Heinzman, the Chamber President, just to ask her if she could detail some of the support that's been given to Berry County businesses thus far. And I know Catherine sent that email out, but just to highlight some of that for those who didn't see it, the Berry Community Foundation, which has been a strong advocate for our local businesses, $123,572 in direct aid, gift cards, grants, outdoor seatings for restaurants. A lot of money. $73,655 in loans to several small businesses in the county as well. In addition to that, the Berry Business Bridge Fund, $92,655. Small Business Relief Fund through MEDC, $32,800. Small Business Restart Grants, $334,799. Small Business Survival Grants, $219,612. So all total, just from that part, was almost $680,000. You're close to not quite $1 million in support from state and local. And some of you also got the email from the Berry County Chamber and Economic Development Alliance talking about there is still a payroll protection program available. There are still shuttered venue operator grants, restaurant revitalization grants, employee retention, and there's a ton of money out there for businesses who are seeking that help. And I think one of the impressive things that Jennifer talked about, that Berry County has lost very few businesses. I mean, the one restaurant which has been replaced, so much so that our community has held together so well that they were asked to speak at a state venue to talk about the collaboration for Berry County and how well we've survived this. So I think it says a lot about our community as a whole and the support and the collaboration we've worked with. So that's why I'm supporting this. Like I said, it's not going to be what everybody wants to see, but it's a statement of support for our businesses, that we are here for them and we will do whatever we can to help them weather this.
Right. Thank you, Dave, for that information. So
I'd also like to add that I did look up the PPE assistance that's been given in Berry County, and 43 businesses were awarded PPE assistance. So from Freeport, Hastings, Middleville, Nashville, and Delton.
Right. So this resolution is, like it's been said, it's a statement of support, but giving the information to businesses that was just mentioned in this meeting, or reducing fees and costs of compliance, like John, Dave, and myself are pushing for on the health department. Those are the real things that people will remember far beyond this resolution. Is there any other discussion from commissioners?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Also in this resolution, it shows our support for our local legislatures. And I believe both of them feel almost 100% like we do on the board in support of the small businesses. So I think that's a good part of this resolution also.
Thanks, John. Any other discussion from commissioners? Any discussion from the public? Please raise your digital hand or press *9 now. We do have a hand up. Joel, please unmute your microphone. Make your comment.
Yes, Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township. We've pushed a long time for this, and I'm very grateful that you guys are passing this, and I'm grateful for the commitment to work on actionable items, the board can accommodate businesses with reduction in regulatory fees and so forth. Let's pass this resolution and let's have a discussion and act immediately. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Is there further comment? Please raise your digital hand or press *9 now. Hearing no such request, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of Resolution 2107, a resolution supporting our small businesses. The clerk will call the roll.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Conrad absent, Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes. Motion passes. And the chair would entertain a motion to recommend the Board of Commissioners scheduling in-person Board of Commissioner and committee hold meetings beginning in April at a time to be determined.
Support Jackson.
Moved by Jackson. Is there support?
Second, Gibson.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. So for the past several weeks, I have been working with the administration to find a venue to bring us back in front of the public. It's been a long time coming. Our two new commissioners, we haven't even met in person yet as a board. With the pandemic orders being lifted, or at least giving some relief to them, we can meet safely as a board. I also want to take this opportunity to discuss trying out some night meetings. This is, if we're ever going to try it, now's the time to do it. I know that there's some interest from commissioners and from the public for trying that. So I will open this up for discussion. The floor is open. I personally would like us to see a trial run at night meetings. You know, we've talked about it for a long time.
I had was under the impression this has been tried before. I don't know who was on the board then. If Michael or somebody else that was around, how did the night meetings go in the past?
I can relate to those. I've been on the board over, over 16 years. We've tried them half a dozen times, even in different locations. And we found out that we didn't get very many seniors because they didn't like being out after dark. And now with the way we run the meetings now with the IT department and the security, there'd be overtime involved in our meetings now where we didn't have that much before. So you got an overtime issue, you got a security issue, you got the seniors that don't like to be out after dark. We tried them a half dozen times over the years, even in different townships, and the only ones that come to the meetings are the ones that had a complaint, or the only other ones there were that board at that township. They really didn't work that well. Even here in Hastings, we tried them and they really weren't that well received. And if you remember our day meetings in the mezzanine, over the past few years, most of the people that have come to those were seniors. You won't see them out at night. That's my thought on it.
Comments, questions?
Ben, from my township's perspective, we're townships that deal a lot in agricultural, and evenings are going to be difficult. I talked to a few of my constituents over there. It's a little tougher for them to do the evening meetings due to their farming requirements and stuff. So on my end of it, it's kind of a bad thing for my constituents, I believe. Dave,
do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm flexible. I mean, I've talked to Michael Brown about this in the past, and he kind of conveyed what Hoot said, is that it rises up, people talk about it, and it doesn't really produce what we're looking for, which is better participation, from the constituents. We're trying to involve people. So I think what we're saying is that 7:00 night meetings don't work. Or they don't work any better than what we're doing right now, maybe even less so from what I think I'm hearing from you. The only other thing would be to think about a different time frame to accommodate both the overtime and the security. Would it be different? Do you think it would be different if we went to a 4:00 or a 5:00 time slot? So we already had some help there. It wouldn't be necessarily keeping people from 5:00 to 7:00. We could start the meetings at 4 or 5. You could try something, or you could think outside of the box a little bit, depending on what's available for venues. Obviously, we know our meetings are always at 9 a.m., but if we want to try something like you want to try doing 1 cow a month at 5 p.m. and see if we get a different turnout or a varied turnout or more participation. I'm not a
Other thoughts? It has, I understand the metrics of the public not being in attendance. Last time we did have consistent night meetings was before my time on the board, and I started serving in 2011. So things could have changed. Questions or comments from?
I like the idea of having the opportunity for people who can't get away during the day for them to give comment. And I like Dave's suggestion of maybe offering the cow meetings at an evening time, maybe even at the end of the day, like a 5 or 5:30, where they can get and at least participate in the discussion on items on the agenda.
What do we think about meeting at 5 p.m.? That kind of late afternoon.
Ben, I got a question, and I think most of the people on the board know that I'm pretty set in my ways, and I like 9 o'clock meetings, but I will keep an open mind. But if we come up with something today, will that just be moved to the full board? I would like this conversation to go with a full board, not with one absent on a discussion like this. So, if you do come up with something and want to move it to the full board, I'm not 100% against that, but I will be open and listen to all alternatives. All I got to say.
Okay. What we could do is move the scheduling of the April meetings in person, and just have we could just pass the specific actions requested and fill in the time frame at the Board of Commissioners. How does that sound?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. If there's no other questions or comments from commissioners, we'll go to questions or comments from the public. We have 3 hands raised. We'll start with Patricia Rail. Please unmute your microphone. You are unmuted.
Thank
Please.
you. Yes, I'm Patricia Rail. I'm with the Village of Middleville, and I wanted to speak on an issue that's related to setting your meetings, and that is allowing the other smaller local units of government in Berry County to continue to meet virtually. As you probably know, the law that says that we can have virtual or hybrid where parts of people meet in person and parts are online expires at the end of this month. But if the county were to institute an emergency, a declaration that said that the pandemic was still continuing and that people have not had a chance to thoroughly get vaccinated, that would allow the smaller units of government like Middleville to continue to have our hybrid mix of some people who are comfortable meeting in person and some people who are not yet able to log in and participate virtually. So that is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Kathy Gramsey. Please unmute your microphone and begin your comments.
Kathy Gramsey, City of Hastings. I like the idea of evening meetings. I understand they've not been a success in the past, but I would ask you how long the evening meetings were tried, because it takes a long time, months, for a change of that kind to become conscious to most people. People will continue to believe that the commission meets at 9 o'clock on Tuesday mornings, even if they've been meeting twice a month in the evening for 3 months. There's education needed, and there's just the time it takes for the word to percolate out to the community. I also, even though I am a fan of evening meetings, think that the 7 p.m. idea in particular is likely to cause conflicts with the commissioners' schedules of other meetings. And I do know they have a rather heavy schedule of other meetings, and it could be a rather difficult game of find the day, find the hour when people could actually all make it. The earlier meeting, say 5 p.m., does make it difficult for working people, even though it's after a 3 p.m. factory get out. It's not necessarily enough time for someone who works further away in the county to finish work and then make it to a meeting. I'm not saying I think what you guys should do. I'm just saying that there's just so much to consider here, and it really does sound like a great idea to have evening meetings, and it's something I would love to see happen. But if you do it, you need to do it for more than just a month or two. You need to commit to it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Now we'll go to Joel Ibbotson. Please unmute your microphone and begin your comments now.
Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township. There's a number of people who I know would like to attend them, but they do get out of work at 5. There's a lot of 8 to 5 jobs out there, so I would recommend 6 or 7. As to the concern of the older population of Berry County attending many local political party meetings, it goes to show you can sit in the back and there is no shortage of white hair or bald heads at them. And those go from 7 to, I've seen them go past midnight before, and they still all choose to be there to be a part of the local community. Another thing I might add is in these virtual meetings, one of the working class commissioners that we had, she was a school teacher, and one of the things we heard in the background a lot was students, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing. And she chose to include her students in on that as well. But I think it's all the more reason to show that maybe even the composition of this Board of Commissioners is affected by having these morning meetings, something to step back and take a look at. Maybe we could include some new talent and so forth as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Is there further comments from the public? Please raise your digital hand or press *9 now. Hearing no such request, the question before the committee is to recommend that the Board of Commissioners schedule.
Who has a question?
Oh, who? Go ahead.
I got one more thing. If you go to a night meeting, I would hope you'd find a night that didn't interfere with any township meetings. If you can find a night that doesn't interfere with any township meetings, it'd work out better for everybody.
Is that true for you, Bruce?
I have township meetings on Tuesdays. I don't know who else does.
Bruce, you're muted.
have meetings on Tuesday nights.
I'm sorry, Ben. Yes, I have a one township that meets on a Tuesday night. The rest are Wednesdays and Monday.
Okay.
But they don't meet every Tuesday. It's once a month.
Once a month.
Yes, Ben, I have a township that is just moving to Tuesday night meetings.
Is there a further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners scheduling in-person Board of Commissioner and Committee of the Whole meetings beginning in April at blank a.m. p.m. The clerk will call the roll.
Felker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor absent. Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, the motion passes. Thank you, Commissioners. Limited public comment. Any member of the public wishing to address the committee may do so for up to 3 minutes. Please raise your hand or press *9 now. Chair recognizes Joel Ibbotson.
Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township again. As to the conversation on the bonding and so forth, I'm disappointed with my answer from the experts. First, though, I want to express once again my gratitude to Don Haney. I am extremely grateful for his leadership and credit his role as the administrator and his staff with the lives of many who reside at the manor. I'd also like to mention I'm happy with his handling of the finances as well. However, my questions were answered by these experts with irrelevant information. I was not concerned with, nor did I ask about the legality of the measure. I was concerned that a measure passed as a cost-saving merit would not turn into an additional liability to the county. I've personally witnessed this exact strategy used in situations where it incurred a 6-figure cost on the agency that implemented it. I do not want to see the same happen with the county. Forgive me, though. I'm just a dumb truck driver who crammed 4 years of high school into 5 that graduated with a 1.2 GPA. But shouldn't my educational background give credence to the bias in their sales pitch when they avoid answering in a way that may affect their pocketbook? I think it speaks volumes to their true endeavor, and that is to simply pass bonding so they can get a commission check and move on to the next municipality. Now, with that said, I don't want anyone on this board to take offense with this statement. It isn't directed to you at the least. However, I hope it opens your eyes and maybe gives you some further questioning that you can give these so-called experts. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia Rail.
Thank you again. I was hoping that the Berry County Board of Commissioners might consider helping communities like Middleville. We have a number of small local groups meeting to deal with the branding project. And the timing is very unfortunate because our meeting that we're going to have to present what we think is going to be the new logo and get direction and things like that happens to be on April 1st. And we had planned to have that as a hybrid, but we're not able to do that because the no excuse or no reason virtual meeting law expires on March 31st. But if the county were to declare that there was an emergency because of the pandemic such that it was still wise to have virtual meetings, that you would be able to help out communities like Middleville. So I was hoping that that is something that you guys might consider. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about that away from the public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Is there further public comment? Please raise your digital hand or press *9 now. Dar, please unmute your mic.
Yeah, I forgot to mention appreciate you guys being so careful with that, purchasing that boat. One other thing I forgot to mention is that boat is also, that comes with a trailer. We do move that around as it's needed for a dive boat for retrieving people who have drowned. So that was one thing I forgot to mention about it, and that is a good stable boat for that. So thank you again for moving that forward.
Thank you, Sheriff. Is there further public comment? Hearing none and without objection, the committee will now adjourn.